Today we're heading just outside of Birmingham, Alabama to visit the stunning home of award-winning designer Dana Wolter. Known for her chic southern style and refined, collected interiors, Dana creates spaces that are both elegant and deeply personal. Growing up in a bustling, love-filled household, Dana discovered early on the importance of creating order and calm within a home, a sanctuary where families can recharge and make memories. Dana's philosophy is beautifully captured in her new coffee table book, The Elegance and Comfort of Home, where she celebrates the spaces that bring families together, just as her own home does every day. Enjoy! You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hi, Homeworthy. I'm Dana. Welcome to my home in Birmingham, Alabama. Come on in. Hi, my name is Dana Wolter, and I am a designer here in Mountain Brook, a suburb of Birmingham, Alabama. I'm originally from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, an hour from Birmingham. And so I grew up coming here shopping and have lots of friends from Birmingham and in particular Mountain Brook. And so after college, after living in Tennessee, I wanted to come back closer to home and settled, gosh, over 30 years ago in Birmingham. And my husband and I, once we married, moved to Mountain Brook, and we built this house almost 20 years ago. And it's been our home that's been the childhood home for my girls. They grew up here, and we raised them here, and my husband and I continue to live here to this day. When we built this home, there was a lot of back and forth. I knew in my mind, I'm from a large family, and as is my husband, so I knew I wanted it to be a wonderful home that was livable, functional, something that my family could grow into as we, as they grew older and as my husband and I aged. So those were really the main concerns for me, or the main priorities. Just making sure good flow. We love to entertain casually, and it's not anything for us if we have a family event such as Christmas or Thanksgiving to have 25, 30, 35 people for a sit-down dinner. So I wanted to make sure the home could accommodate any entertaining that we wanted to do. I would describe my personal interior design style as layered, very soothing, functional, livable. I like pretty things. I appreciate pretty things. But when we are working with a client, we ask lots of questions about how do you live in your house? How do you foresee the future laying out for your home? For instance, if you have young children now, do you intend on living in this house for the rest of your life? And possibly when you have grandchildren, and people get bigger and more friends coming over and all of that life entails. So that's how I would describe my personal style. Welcome to my entryway. I'm a firm believer that your foyer entry, whatever you'd like to call it, sets the tone for your home. I'm also very practical. I love including some sort of lighting when I can in a foyer, just because I always think of, if you're running out the door to put on your shoes, or sometimes this is a catch-all. This niche, when we were building our house, I wanted to add some softness to it. And so as you can see, what we did, we upholstered the back and hung one of my favorite pieces of my art. This piece is actually one that my husband gave me. Oh my goodness, I'm about to show my age, but 25 years ago for my birthday. It was one of my first pieces of art that I've been collecting, and the artist is Arthur Price. He is an Alabama artist. Look him up if you're not familiar with him. His work is beautiful, and what I love about it, he paints on canvas, but he paints different things. So he might paint his wife or someone that's close to him, or I don't know, whomever, in his piece, and then he paints over it. So you'll get these glimpses of people and objects, and it's just beautiful to me, and I love the colors. So here we are. It's front and center in my foyer. And then and here again, when we built the house and we designed it, this is actually a jib door. And, it looks like it's just part of the paneling on the wall, but it opens up and has great storage under my stairs. I would never show it to you because I may not be able to get the door closed again, but it's come in handy in our home. And again, just adding softness. I like mixing things. I love trying to pick up, unique things when I come across them. And, boxes, tables, mirrors, just things that are special and a little unique that I can move around as the years go. And if I get tired in one spot, we'll move it to somewhere else. Let's head to my living room and I'll show you around there. Welcome to my living room, dining room. When we were building this home, one thing that I knew that I wanted in this house was a combo room that, served the purpose for these two areas. The home that I grew up in had a room like this and I loved it. I love the idea of if you're having dinner, you can go and sit afterwards and just kind of visit. This room also helps with, I have, a large family. My husband is one of 7 children. I'm one of 5. So you can imagine how, crazy and fun and loud our holidays are. And it's nothing for us to have a large sit-down dinner for, 20, 25, 30 people. And this room really works well with that. We can set up tables in the middle and then, and then of course in the kitchen where we end up, a lot of times the children end up sitting. And yeah, so we have just really enjoyed this room. It's just a great space for entertaining or just sitting here. Sometimes I'll find myself sitting here and doing, my morning just devotional and just a few minutes to myself. I love to write. And so sometimes I'll find myself just sitting down and just, writing in my journal and just seeing kind of where it takes me for a few minutes in the day. And then over here in the dining room, when we were building this house, we had this long wall. And my first thought was, oh my goodness, what am I going to do to soften it so you just don't have like all of this, cream colored wall. So we added a banquette, which has been great for just entertaining. And it's been here probably 15, 16, 17 years. It holds a ton of people. So when we are entertaining, it's amazing how many little bodies you can scoot together, on a banquette. So it's been, it helps ground this into the room, but it's also really functional and livable for my family and me. My career path to becoming a designer was a windy one. As you can imagine, like most kids, beginning college, I didn't know what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I changed my major 3 times and I ended up majoring in English and journalism and graduated in that degree. But along the way, one of the, careers, or I guess one of the majors that I tried out was interior design. So I learned how to scale. I took 2 or 3 classes, so I had a good feel for it, but ended up doing something completely different. Went into pharmaceutical sales, medical sales as I graduated from college. But I firmly believe that your interests and your strengths, they might ebb and flow as as life goes on, but I feel like they're always there. And I always had an innate interest in it. And once I'm married, my husband and I bought a few houses, fixed them up. And as I had children, I was kind of at a point in my life where my children, I'd kind of gotten them out of diapers, but I felt like it was time to do something a little more, maybe for me, structured. And I had 2 friends approach me at the same time to ask them to professionally help them with their home. One, I would go over there and say, let's do this, let's do that. And she finally was, like, look, I want to pay you. I want to hire you. And they really were the transformative moment that my career began. So I, bought a business license, and that was 20 years ago. And we went from, starting with friends and referrals, it just grew from there. And we do work all across the country. I have a team of 8, and, we really do a lot of turnkey projects where we go in and we do everything. I mean, even sometimes down to the china, the crystal, the silverware, the client will walk in and the home is done. All right, how about this? Let me take you into my kitchen and show you around there. Come on. So the kitchen is where we live in this home. I'm not always the best cook, so I'm not going to sit there and say that I'm cooking all the time, but I do juice a lot and I, use my Vitamix a lot. So there's always something constantly going on in here. my countertops here are Calcutta Oro Premium, and I love this material. I use it a lot in my projects. One, it's timeless and classic, right? In everyday spaces, in my belief, is that you want something that's classic and timeless, but it has great movement. It has great colors. There's warmth. You can play off, it in a lot of different ways. When we were designing this kitchen in the back, we continued the slab on the back, and we also built in some storage where I keep my spices that are easy to reach. Oh my goodness, it's a little messy, so y'all, don't look too closely, but I want to kind of show you how it works. And, lined up the rails and the stiles of the marble when we were, drawing this out, just making it a pretty picture frame, a pretty detail, but very subtle. And the island is, all of the cabinetry is white oak. That's with a custom stain that my finisher and I blended together. And we use this kitchen a ton. It works really well for our family. And when my children are home, my husband and I have 3 girls. 2 of them live away and 1 lives here in, another part of the city. So when we have people home or we have family home, it's easy. It's very easy. It functions well. Another area of my kitchen is the breakfast area, where we have a long custom banquette that is customized to this space. And one of the things that I like to do, I'm not the best cook, as I mentioned, but I do cook. And when my children are home, we do try to sit down and have a meal together. And that's just so fun to set a table and enjoy it with one another. And so this is a great spot. It gets great light, so I will find myself enjoying a cup of tea sometimes in the morning here, or just, pushing the cushions over and just sitting on the edge and just doing whatever task I'm doing, whether it's, scrolling social media or looking at a magazine or whatever. This little niche in my kitchen is really one of my favorite spots of this room. It is, when we were designing this room, I ended up including this niche, so I hope you can see. And what we did, we used the same marble throughout with a slab and made this shelving. And I love this just to be like a collection. I don't want it to be too perfect. I don't want it to be where it feels like everything is just right. I want it to feel like it's lived in and that we use it, because we do. You can tell I need to tarnish my silver's a little tarnished. I need to polish it. But I like that. I like the patina. I like the mix of, finishes here. I make oatmeal a lot in the mornings. And so I try to eat a lot of, healthy nuts and seeds and stuff. And my husband loves the chocolate almonds, so that's his touch to him. So I like to keep it out, and this way it's easy to grab, easy to use. A lot of times when my girls are home, I'll make them oatmeal, and they love it. So we have bowls and where you can kind of fix your own and make it how you would like. One of my favorite rooms that probably is the most used space of my entire home is this morning pantry. Come on here and let me show you. This pantry is truly the most used space of my entire home, maybe even more so than my kitchen. And when we were designing it, there's a lot of hidden storage in here. I wanted to keep it clean, but make it super practical and livable. And as there is an extra dishwasher in here. There are beverage drawers. We have a little coffee set up, with a coffee, a built-in coffee maker in the space. My pantry's behind the doors. Behind some other doors, I store all of my, vases and containers. And we even have a hidden washer and dryer in here just for like towels and just kitchen things that you might need here and there. So it's a wonderful space. It works well when we're entertaining. So it's not only everyday life that it, functions well for us, but when we're entertaining, we set up the bar. Sometimes I'll throw some ice in the sink and, put my wine bottles in there and let people help themselves with the glasses and just whatever they may need when they're at our home. I want them to feel comfortable, and I want them to feel like they can help themselves and make themselves at home. My go-to design tip would be to look at your space with a fresh pair of eyes. Really think about, how do you use this space? What can you add to it to make you want to go in there more and utilize it and make it just feel good to you? I also encourage my clients that if you're not enjoying something, give it away, sell it, donate it. Don't keep anything because you feel like, oh gosh, it's a space filler, or, my mother gave it to me. I run into that a lot. My mother gave it to you, or my grandmother gave it to me. If you don't love it, pass it along to someone who does and let them appreciate it. Next, let me take you to my family room and kind of show you around there. So our family room is the room that, we watch TV, we'll visit. I even have a little rebounder that I keep out that ends up in this room, so I, can jump while I'm watching TV. So in here, the draperies is a Schumacher sheer that I use a lot. I love it because it gives some warmth, gives great texture, but it's a great neutral. And I was just trying to, when I added the draperies in here, my goal was just to soften this space. I don't want any space to feel too pretentious, and draperies are a nice way just to add that softness of that balance. When you have hard surfaces and hard textures, adding something soft. And so, it filters the light great. It's a great backdrop in here. This piece that hosts our TV is one of my favorite pieces in this room. I found this in, it's just my TV's behind there. I found this piece at Circa Antiques, which is a beautiful antique store here in Birmingham. There's one in Charlotte. And something a lot of people don't know, one, if you've never been to Alabama, people are always pleasantly surprised when they visit, particularly Birmingham, because we have beautiful terrain. We have some of the best boutiques in the Southeast, hands down, especially in Mountain Brook. If you ever have the chance to visit and shop, you really should. And of course, some of the best restaurants, a lot of James Beard winners. So it's a foodie town too. So, but this piece, I wanted something that would host my TV, hide it. I try to keep it off the top of a fireplace when I can, because sometimes it can feel a little high. But I didn't want anything that was going to be intruding into the room too much. And so this piece seemed to do the job. And, just lots of cozy, just great seating. So you can, curl up on the sofa or grab a blanket and lie down and just make yourself at home, if you want to watch TV or scroll your tablet or whatever. So next, let's go to the hallway, and then I'll take you to my bedroom. As we walk down the hall to my bedroom, I'm a big believer that, we don't want hallways to be forgotten spaces. It's a great way to soften your home, add a touch of personalization, and just kind of make it your own. In this hall, you can tell it's very layered, textured, iron against waxed oak, against a velvet bench, against, the beautiful antique vase that has the carving detail. I mentioned earlier an Arthur Price piece. I have another one of his. I really do love his work, of this lady. And as I was talking about how you could, see the different pieces in them, you certainly can if you look closely. As we are, walking towards my bedroom again, just making the space feel warm and inviting. You can tell I love to add upholstery. It's a great way to soften an area and make it functional too. But come on in, let's go check out my bedroom. So as we head into my bedroom, it is a space that just feels good to me, as a bedroom should, right? It should feel like it's home. I draped two of the walls with a beautiful wool fabric by Holland & Sherry. And again, I wanted this room just to kind of feel a little bit like a cocoon. It's where we end our day of our busy, busy lives. And so it's a great way just to, my husband and I will watch TV in here, or we'll just, watch something on our, iPad. This is kind of fun. Let me show you this. Speaking of watching TV, so I'm not opposed to TV being, in line sight. I don't have a problem with that. But when I can hide them, I like to do so. So behind this upholstered screen is our TV. And so it's just a little bit of a pretty moment where it's hidden, but it's still there when we want to watch it. And then over here, I love picking up just collected items. You know, this is a little sculpture by Corbin Bronze. His work is beautiful. We've included it in many of our homes. I love the texture. You know, when you have a wood piece, it's nice to add another element such as metal or, you know, limestone or steel or whatever that might be, just kind of a yin and yang. And then of course we have the softness of the, you know, just the magnolia leaves that actually just came out of my own yard. So easy, just cutting them, putting them in there, but they add some softness, they add some texture, they just, you know, help kind of fill the space a little bit. Your powder room is a great little space just to do something a little different. I wanted mine to, you know, continue to flow with the rest of my home, but to be a little bit more fun, but still soothing, timeless. And so we added this grass cloth in here. And so it gives a little bit of detail, but to me, it's still timeless enough. I'm not going to get tired of it in a few years. We had this custom pedestal made for in here. And I found this beautiful antique Spanish jar at one of the boutiques here in Birmingham that I just love. I love the, you know, wood against the material of the vessel. And then this vanity is one that I designed. It was using a little bit of my leftover countertop material, the Calcutta Oro. And I designed, you know, just a beautiful vanity. I liked the idea of adding some sort of bar. This is actually a large cabinet handle that I turn on just to, you know, host and hold some of the linen towels. I always enjoy, you know, adding in some different types of soaps. I've learned from my clients, some people are big into, you know, hand soaps as far as like liquid soaps, and sometimes people like the bars. So I like to offer both. And then of course, this is a little lavender that just really pretty, that just, it smells good, just gives a little subtle touch that I like to have in my bathroom as well. Just a little nod to where you are. All right, let's go upstairs and I'll show you the foyer up there. The stairwell is one that I designed with my craftsman many, many years ago when we were building my home. You know, I knew that I wanted something that had a little bit of detail, and I didn't want the finish on the iron to be black. I want it to have a little bit of a mix. So when you look closely at it, you can see that there's some different colors that you'll see, you know, throughout. And again, just a subtle touch of where it's not so perfect and it's not so shiny and it's not so, you know, one color. It looks a little like it's been patinaed. As we walk up, you know, I made a gallery wall of just some pieces of art that I've collected over the years. My girls are grown. We have 3 girls, and, you know, they're 24, 26, and 28. And, but I love this picture on my stairs. It just reminds me of their little hands and, you know, how much they've grown and where they are, but where we came from too. So come on up. A lot of people haven't seen this space upstairs, so I'm glad to share it with you today. This is just an area where just a nice landing where, you know, I tried to add some personalization just to make it special to us and unique pieces. Again, a lot of these items here with the artwork are just pieces that we've picked up and collected over the years. This piece is actually done by one of my former clients, and she's so talented and so artistic, and I just love that. If you've noticed around my house, I have a lot of I love art that has sculpture, people, nudes. I don't know why, but I do love it. It just adds a little bit of warmth to me and speaks to me and where we are. This little spot is just a little love seat. Again, just to kind of help soften this wall, layered. You know, a lot of times people think the interiors that my team and I do are just very clean and simple, but if you look closely, I like to mix finishes and I like to mix textures. You know, I like that this has a marble top with a metal base, and then against, you know, the hand-painted fabric against the velvet cushion, and then you have, you know, a detailed screen behind it that has the metal nail heads on, against the fabric. So there is always, when you look at my work, there is a lot of yin and yang and mixing of, finishes and metals. I don't like things to feel too, precious. Or too perfect. I want it to be like it's been collected over the years and you live in your home and you enjoy it and you like this piece, so I've just put it here. That's how, kind of my philosophy. As far as the colors that are in this room, I wanted to add some weight, some dimension. So we included this beautiful, grass cloth wall covering to give a little color, to kind of ground this wall. I just could not imagine carrying all of the same cream neutral color throughout the house and not adding a little weight to it. And this was just a good way just to kind of ground the space up here. And in my mind, I love kind of a navy gray color and mixing it with neutrals like chocolate browns and creams and taupes and just all these neutral colors. To me, it's a neutral. And I use gray a lot. I use navy a lot. If you look at my wardrobe, I kind of wear a lot as far as the colors that, I put in people's homes, and they just mix well with each other. They play well with each other. But what we did up here is we took this color and we just repeated it in the little love seat and in the screen. And then I did do a little pop of color with the art, just art that I love, that I've, collected over the years. It spoke to me, that I thought, okay, let's put it up here and have a little pop of color. All right, come in and let me show you one of my girls' bedrooms. This bedroom is my youngest daughter, Anne's bedroom when she was growing up and when she comes home to visit. So in here, we added, again, with the angles in the room with the roof line, I really wanted to kind of help ground the wall a little bit and ground the space. So we did a huge, bold pattern in here in a darker color just to kind of ground the space. My girls love coffee table books. And I guess they've heard me over the years. It's a great way to accessorize a space. And Anne has actually taken some of hers out of her shelving to where she lives now. She's taken them with her. But they collect them over the years. They love getting them for Christmas. They love getting them for their birthdays. This piece here is, again, just, a collection of things that she loved over the year. She and I found this art at an art gallery a long time ago, and it's just kind of lived there. And again, just, beautiful coffee table books, things that she liked. And I'll show you her little collection of, when we're talking about coffee table books, right here. She likes to collect them by color and organize them by color. So the ones that she still has in her room here, we've kept it like this, but it's just kind of fun to see as her collection has grown over the years. So, and then when we were building this house, my cousin is an interior designer as well, and she actually came up with this idea, and I thought it was a great idea. Instead of just having the bookshelves, we created, a deeper seating area that was a little higher so you could look out the window. And then, of course, it has great storage under that's come in handy as, my daughter was growing up. Just adding softness again, just with pillows and throws. And of course, it's always fun to have a little place to perch when your friends come over and, just to kind of sit and chat and just kind of hang out. So this is her room. Home means a lot of different things for me. It's always been a place that I can relax and security. I was sick a few years ago, and so it really took on an even different meaning for me. It was a place for me just to rest and just heal and just really kind of go into myself, where I could just take care of me and whatever I needed at that time.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content, shopping guides, and so much more.